Hello and welcome to AutoFocus. Toyota worldwide has sold more than 20 million electrified vehicles, and it is a pioneer in the field of hybrids, a segment where it has dominated, it has created mind space for others to follow, and that is what Toyota India is probably hoping to achieve with its next vehicle, which is going to be the first mass market vehicle from Toyota India, and I'm talking about the Toyota Urban Cruiser Hyryder, a car that we have come to drive today in Bengaluru, and this is going to be a segment defining new compact SUV that is going to offer the benefits of a hybridized system under its classily built skin. Toyota has created this sub-brand, an umbrella brand called the Urban Cruiser, and this one is now then called the Urban Cruiser Hyryder. The attempt obviously being to create a sort of SUV segmented brand that can be an umbrella brand. The Urban Cruiser, of course, the original one was the one that shared the same platform as the Maruti Suzuki Vitara Brezza. Now this one here also shares a platform, and this platform is also a shared platform with Suzuki. It is a platform that was co-developed by Suzuki and Toyota starting 2017 when this cooperation agreement between the two companies was signed, and this platform is now shared with the Maruti Suzuki Grand Vitara, and there's a lot that is different compared to the past, where some of the shared platform vehicles between the two Japanese brands have seemed to be badge engineering versions of each other, whereas here this one is considerably different from the Grand Vitara that's going to be launched by Maruti next month. A lot of differences between this and the Grand Vitara from the Maruti Suzuki portfolio. Now this is a tapered nose. It gets this nice clean finish at the front with this fake carbon fiber trim, really achieving the purpose that it has been built for. A nice clean chrome band that covers the front side and connects the two headlamps, giving it a clean front fascia, and a fairly strong, aggressive, sporty profile from the front with all that, the large grille and the air dam combined right below. The fact that this is a Toyota achieved from some of those brand design language that we can see built into the front design. The same goes for the rear too, where the tail lamps have been constructed differently from what you would see in the Grand Vitara. The side profile though is where possibly you would find a lot of similarities, and there are a few elements at the rear, of course, where again you would see it being sort of shared in both these vehicles. Overall, the front design is captivating. It is the signature side of the Toyota Urban Cruiser Hyryder, and that is the good reason why a lot of people on the roads today, as we were testing this car, were staring at this one, and this signature blue color is another good take that gives it a standout stance on the road. But the side profile is where the Toyota Urban Cruiser Hyryder's length can be most felt. This is a fairly large compact SUV. This is about 4.3 meters plus in length. The wheelbase is 2.6 meters or 2,600 millimeters, and that is a good strong stance for a compact SUV. This is of course going to be competing with the likes of the Hyundai Creta, the Kia Seltos, and the Volkswagen Tiguan. This is a large SUV, as you can see, for its segment, and that extra length at the rear is where it gets the extra impact from. Hyryder of course gets Toyota's classic hybrid synergy drive badging, and this is going to get 4 to 5 different trim levels, and it also gets 2 powertrains, 2 engines and 3 gearboxes to choose from. The hybrid 1.5 liter hybrid is what we've been driving today, and that's what we're going to get to drive for the rest of the day today too. There is a clean finished center fascia and dashboard. The hybrid top deck that I was driving featured a dark brown and black color theme. The seats were perforated leatherette seats with ventilation. Was quite comfortable to be seated on, and the general impression the moment I get into the cabin is that it's been finished very well. Of course, there's going to be a lot of trim variants and differences in the spec inside the cabin that you will get, but the top spec that I was driving got a soft touch IP and dashboard with stitching. It had wireless charging. It had a 9-inch Smart Play cast audio system that Toyota calls it. Even gets the head-up display that usually you find in cars in a segment above. Also a 7-inch TFT multi-information display that has been used for the instrument cluster with quite a large range of display options, including state of charge and range. The push button start stop is another feature that is a highlight. There's also automatic air conditioning. The center stack is a waterfall style layout with a clean set of controls for the air conditioning and the other audio and smartphone related controls. This particular variant also gets 55 plus connected car features, including a range of features that you can control using your smartphone or a smartwatch. The Urban Cruiser Hyryder's cabin is not just focused only on front passenger and driver. There's a lot of convenience and comfort factors that have been built into the rear seat and for rear seat occupants. The rear seat, for example, gets a reclining backrest, so if you're coming back after a hard day's work and you would like to throw back and relax, this is something that you would be using. There's also rear AC vents with USB ports for charging. The seats get a 60-40 split in case you need to store more luggage in the boot, and there is a general sense of space with more legroom and headroom. It also gets a panoramic sunroof. My only complaint would be that the panoramic sunroof's roof lining feels a little too thin, and there is the risk of the heat radiating downwards if it is parked during a hot summer day. There's also ambient lighting, there's footwell lamps, there's also simpler stuff like tilt and telescopic steering, which I particularly appreciate, so people can get a good riding position. Voice assistant that you can use to control a few features in the cabin. Other trim variant and the engine variant that we did not drive was the 1.5 liter K15C engine and its manual and gear automatic transmission. That variant also gets mild differences in the cabin trim. Depending on the trim variant that you would be buying, you'll also get a drive mode switch, and you will get steering mounted paddle shifters in case you're buying the automatic, where the 6-speed gearbox can then be controlled manually using these paddle shifters. Of course, like I had mentioned, there will be changes in the cabin depending on the variant that you are going to choose, with lower trim variants not getting a few of the features that we have talked about. This portion is where the battery pack is located. It is packed in, and the fuel tank is also there. The fuel tank is about 45 liters in capacity, and the battery itself is a less than a kilowatt size battery pack. It's about 0.76 kilowatt in terms of its charge capacity. The initial impression I had was that this parcel tray here is meant to sort of protect the battery. A portion of it actually does, but that said, half of this lower parcel tray can be removed for more luggage space. It does tend to intrude a bit when you're looking at it from the perspective of it being there, but it's meant to offer a flat floor at the rear, and that's what this half parcel tray does. But back there is, below there is where the battery is. This is the 1.5 liter TNGA engine co-developed by Toyota and Suzuki, TNGA being short for Toyota New Generation Architecture. This engine is a 3-cylinder engine, and it's a self-charging hybrid system, and what that does mean then is that you don't have to plug it in to charge the batteries. It is a battery pack that gets charged by itself through regenerative braking, and that is a strong hybrid for you. It's not the mild hybrid that we have seen in the past from a few of the mass market brands. This is capable of delivering a certain distance in EV only mode, but at the same time the EV only mode capability is not defined because the system calculates the current conditions by itself. It decides whether to give you a full EV mode depending on the speed, depending on the state of charge of the battery, and depending on a lot of other factors. Of course, depending also on the internal conditions of the cabin, where if the AC air conditioning system needs to be working, then it might seek the assistance of the engine for the power takeoff. The engine itself is a 3-cylinder engine. It's surprisingly not very noisy, it's quiet relatively speaking, and it is also fairly refined. The cabin is very well insulated. In fact, it's surprisingly quiet inside the cabin, even at part to mid throttle levels, where the engine RPM is at a certain 3000 plus RPM level. Only after it crosses that point where you start hearing it. Overall, the engine and hybrid system seems to be quite punchy. This is of course a hybrid system where the motor offers both parallel and series assist, which then means that if you're going to be starting off the block and you need a surge in power, then both the systems will be contributing. There are two motors. The series assist of course kicks in after a point. It does tend to start on EV mode every time you switch the engine on and start off from a standstill. How does the engine sound in terms of numbers? Let's take a look at that. The engine output is about 68 kilowatt and the battery pack assisted electric motors output is about 59 kilowatt. The combined system output is about 85 kilowatt or about 114 bhp. That sounds like definitely like a peppy engine. On road too, it does feel quick, though it is still an efficiency focused engine and a hybrid system. It is rated to offer almost 28 kilometers per liter as mileage. On the frames that you would have seen off the cabin, you would have seen an onboard diagnostics kit that's been placed on the dashboard that Toyota has placed for us to get a feel of what kind of mileage this car can genuinely deliver in real world conditions. And there were places where we were getting about 3.6 liters per 100 kilometers, which is about 30 kilometers to a liter almost. And of course, on a mixed drive situation where on the highway and in city road conditions, there was a combined average of about 4 to 4.2 liters per 100 kilometers, which then translates into about 20 to 25 kilometers per liter, which then genuinely means that this can deliver great mileage if you drive it judiciously, and that is what it is focused on. This engine output of course is assisted with an e-drive transmission system, which is basically Toyota speak for a combination of a CVT and hybrid drivetrain, and the torque output is about 122 newton meters for the engine and about 141 newton meters for the electric motor. Toyota has differentiated between the hybrid and non-hybrid variants with terms like Neo Drive and hybrid. These are two sub-brands that basically Toyota is using to identify which engine variant and you're driving. The Neo Drive of course features the 1.5 liter K15C engine that Suzuki and Maruti have developed. This engine is a 4-cylinder petrol engine that delivers about 103 PS of peak power and 136.8 newton meters of torque. This engine is a powertrain that we have experienced in other Maruti vehicles. The urban cruiser Hyryder, this engine again will be similarly spec'd and will be delivering power through either a 5-speed manual gearbox or a 6-speed automatic gearbox. It also gets the option of a 2-wheel drive, which is standard, or an all-wheel drive, which is offered only with the manual transmission variant. The Neo Drive engine, which we did not get to experience, is also rated to deliver a mileage of 20 plus. The 5-speed manual is supposed to be capable of delivering 21 kilometers plus per liter of fuel, and the all-wheel drive manual is capable of delivering a little over 19 kilometers per liter of petrol. So this is not the first strong hybrid that we've seen in the market. The Honda City eHEV is already here, and that again is a demonstrator of what a hybrid can do in a situation where fuel prices are rising and there is no sign of them going back down. Here though is going to be in a segment that is in genuine demand. The SUV body style is extremely popular right now, and there's more and more people that want to buy the SUV body style, especially in tier 2, tier 3 and tier 4 cities of India, and that is the versatility of the body style that delivers that sort of usability in these kind of conditions, and that's what the urban cruiser Hyryder brings to the market. This hybrid is also a strong hybrid, and like we have experienced today, it is capable of delivering 20 plus kilometers of fuel efficiency, and that is a key point that a lot of people are going to consider going forward. The SUV body style has sort of reached a maturity point where more and more people will possibly look for USPs where their daily average commute is handled with lower and lower fuel. This hybrid can give them that advantage, and that said, this is still going to be positioned at a premium end of the compact SUV segment category. Let's wait to hear the prices, but for now, from what we have experienced today, this can deliver that sort of peppy drive if you need it, and the urban crawl is handled with ease. The hybrid delivering a lot of efficiencies. There is a mild sort of 3-cylinder engine behavior after a certain point, but that said, it certainly doesn't feel handicapped and doesn't feel over focused on efficiency where it is suffering for want of more power or torque on the road. So the Toyota Urban Cruiser Hyryder, is this the car you should be buying? I think as a brand, Toyota is getting into the mass segment again. It is a brand that is legendary. So is Suzuki, and this collaboration between these two brands is going to help both of them. There are synergies that both of them are going to take advantage of, with Toyota coming down the price line and Maruti going up in the price line, and that's going to be a significant factor why this platform and this hybrid is going to be able to capture market share for both the brands. This of course gets the, what we've been driving of course is the Toyota hybrid engine powertrain combination. There is also the Maruti K15C engine and powertrain combination, both of them capable of straddling a large price segment, and that is key. My estimate is that it should be priced somewhere in the region of about 15 to 20 lakhs across variants and across the 2 engines and 3 powertrains that it's offered with. This hybrid is capable of giving you all of those benefits that you've been looking for. If you have a inclination towards becoming more green, you're conscious about your carbon footprint, and at the same time you want a car that doesn't feel like a compromise. There are a few features that it misses, especially because it's going to be taking on competitors in a price segment which offers a larger variety of vehicles with more features. But that said, this is capable of satisfying a large range of customers whose expectations it all meets.